Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Theodora Mudise. I'm the coordinator for events at the University of Johannesburg Library. I would like to welcome you all to the discussion today. We hope you will enjoy it. Please remember that this discussion is also live on Facebook. So if you have any friends that would like to join from Facebook, you are welcome to invite them to join there from the UJ Library Facebook. Now, I would like to introduce our facilitator for today. Her name is Elsa Kalemba, and she's a master's student at the University of Johannesburg in the field of information technology. Welcome, Elsa, and welcome to Thapelo. I'm handing you over, Elsa.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to this book discussion with Mr. Thapelo Sekwena, author of the 4IR, the Era of Robotics and Artificial Intelligence. Mr. Thapelo Sekwena is an award-winning developer, author, and founder of the Orison Technology. He is a winner of the GeoJersey Developers Challenge. Born in the Northwest Province, he completed his bachelor degree in computer science and mathematics. He's currently studying toward a postgraduate diploma in business admin at the West Business School. Good morning, Mr. Thapelo. Tell us what inspired you to write the book.
Morning, Elsa. Morning to everyone who tuned in. Let me first start by thanking you for the invite. What motivated me to write the book? It all started on the 16th of November. That was in 2016. I had just been awarded the GeoJersey Developers Challenge First Prize Award. And I had created a mobile app solution, to help them solve their physical address challenges. Following the competition, I started thinking about what is it that I can do, to change the lives of people, and to contribute to the tech space. I did my research and I found that 4IR was the next big thing, of which a lot of people did not understand what is this fourth industrial revolution. So that's what gave birth to this amazing book, the 4IR, Surviving the Era of Robotics and Artificial Intelligence.
All right, awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much for the answer. We're now gonna go over to your presentation. Please let us know a little bit about your book.
Okay, so I may go through with the presentation.
Yes.
Yes, okay. I will take you through the summary of my presentation, which is basically the summary of the book. It talks about, on the first section, we focus on the historical context of the fourth industrial revolution, like what happened and how did we get here, from the first, second, and the third industrial revolution. Secondly, we will look at 4IR and its technologies, technologies such as your blockchain, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and cloud computing. These are some of the technologies. Lastly, we will look at surviving the era of robotics and artificial intelligence. This is where we explore ways we can get more out of this fourth industrial revolution. All right, the historical context. The first industrial revolution occurred for the first time in Britain, where people initially used their hands to do any form of work. As time went by, machines were introduced, to help and to make work easier for everyone. A group of people called the Luddites were against these machines, and they started destroying them as a way of collapsing the economy and getting the attention of the government and the police. To cut the long story short, the police fought against them, and machines thrived. We had mechanization taking place, and that was the first industrial revolution. The revolution that gave birth to factories and to industries such as communication, textile, and printing. This introduction of factories meant that people had to leave their homes, the rural areas, and go to urban areas, go to towns and cities for work purposes. And this led us to the second industrial revolution. So in the second industrial revolution, many people would get crowded in factories, and this ended up causing health problems for them, and a lot of these people, as they got sick, many people started doing research to try to find out what is causing these health challenges. And this is how modern medicine and chemistry were born during this industrial revolution. It was also during this period that factories enabled mass production of goods, from doing things with your own hands to heavy machines, and now having factories who could produce more goods. And this mass production of goods led to a need to do business globally, with other nations. And there was a need now for a quick way to communicate, amongst other things. And this led us to the third industrial revolution, also known as the internet age. The third industrial revolution changed the way energy is distributed and how we share information. It is a period where people started using terms such as digital transformation, which led us to this point, a point that got us talking about the fourth industrial revolution. What is the fourth industrial revolution? It is basically the convergence or the blurring of lines between your physical, your digital, and your biological systems. This is made possible by technologies such as your artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, I can describe it as the technology of getting machines to do tasks that could previously be done by human beings only. We have technologies such as big data, where you have extremely large data sets that can be analyzed, to reveal patterns, to reveal trends and association. We have the Internet of Things. The Internet of Things, it's more like connecting your objects and have them communicate over the Internet. For example, connecting your mobile phone to your refrigerator, and having communication between the two. We also have what's known as 3D printing or additive manufacturing. It's a way of creating three-dimensional objects. We've seen this being used in different countries, especially Italy, to create ventilators to fight COVID-19. We have technologies such as cloud computing, which is basically delivering your computing services over the internet, which is the cloud. We also have cybersecurity that can be described as protection of individuals or businesses, from any form of crime that can occur over the internet. The mentioned technologies have provided us with so many employment opportunities. We have people that can have careers as cybersecurity engineers, your 3D printing designers, your data analyst, cybersecurity analyst. We also have drone pilots and many others. So for us to do well in this fourth industrial revolution, we need skills such as complex problem solving. You can imagine building a self-driving car. You have to solve those complex problems and algorithms. You have to be able to critically think. You have to be creative. You have to be able to coordinate or collaborate with others, as you would know that these type of projects would require a lot of skilled people, a lot of engineers. So you have to be able to work with other people. You need emotional intelligence, which I'll touch on a bit later. And to have these skills, I'd advise our siblings who are still in high school or primary maybe, to take on STEM education, to focus on their science, on their technology and mathematics. This will obviously help them, when it comes to complex problem solving, to critical thinking and creativity. Let us now look at the final section of this presentation, which is more about surviving the era of robotics and artificial intelligence. To survive this era, I think one of the key factors is multidisciplinary education or multidisciplinary skills, which refers to several fields of study or academic interest. For example, you can say you can describe it as when you have studied like your mathematics, your economics and history. That's multidisciplinary. Why is this important? people with multidisciplinary backgrounds can easily adapt to different environments, and this is an essential skill for the fourth industrial revolution. They are also able to solve problems easier and efficiently, and this is because they have learned different logical and methodical approaches. So it is important for you to survive this the revolution, because you will be able to adapt to different skills. If tomorrow the future of work shifts, we're no longer doing things traditionally. Obviously, you've had a broader view of subjects. It would be easy for you to adapt than someone who's only been focused on one discipline. Multidisciplinary education also opens opportunity in different fields. Like I said, if say you worked as a software developer and now there's an opening in the arts section, in the arts industry for a designer, and you have the qualification, or you have the skills, then through your multidisciplinary education, you stand to benefit from that. Another point that I would like to raise with regards to surviving the era of robotics and artificial intelligence, it's entrepreneurship. We have many products that are sourced from abroad, from overseas. The books we read, our phones, our computers, and many objects that we use are all sourced from abroad. We are importing them in South Africa. We need to develop our own solutions for our own people, more like when I wrote this book, because I tried to put it in South African context. And again, like Mpho Dagadas mentioned yesterday on yesterday's webinar, he mentioned that we have resources to build almost everything that we are importing in this country. And the big question would be, why are we not producing these goods ourselves? This will help in creating jobs, amongst other things. We need businesses that will thrive in this era. For example, in my book, I make reference to Theo Baloyi, who founded a sneaker company called Batu. The business cannot be phased out by the introduction of robots. Come rain or shine, people will always need shoes. So we need to think along those lanes when we think of businesses that can thrive through this industrial revolution. Another entrepreneur that we can look at for inspiration is DJSbu. From being fired at Metro FM, a traditional radio station, to dusting himself, he came back with an online radio platform. This is the mentality that we should have. The future is definitely online. And we need to start thinking along those lanes also, because if it happens that you get retrenched at your work, be it for maybe the financial difficulties at your company, or be it because of the digital journey that they are taking, you need to think of what is it that you like and where is your industry going, and try to come up with innovative ways of doing things. The other part that I'd like to talk about in terms of surviving the era of robotics and artificial intelligence is doing research and understanding, your subject area. Say, for example, acquiring some basic understanding of a topic, be it Internet of Things or artificial intelligence, or perhaps at your workplace, they are introducing cloud technology. You need to research and familiarize yourself with it. This will make sure that it separates you from the rest. You need to research on changes that will take place in your industry. This will help you on what to study and which paths to follow. I would also like to talk about emotional intelligence, which is obviously the ability to comprehend the feelings and the sentiments of yourself and of the others around you, and to be able to process them effectively. Being able to do this well will enable you to leverage the knowledge to guide your actions and your thoughts, especially for leaders in this fourth industrial revolution. We need them to have a high intelligence quotient and emotional quotient. we need to work on skills such as self-awareness, to also be able to self-regulate, control your emotions, to be self-motivating, to have empathy and social skills. This is because you find that your employees come to work stressed, they are worried that they are going to lose their jobs. They are worried that they are not going to be able to use this new technology. As a leader, you have to be able to show them and instill confidence in them that no, this is how things are working, this is what we should do, and this is how we'll survive this era. By so doing, showing an understanding and having a high EQ, will have your employees or people that are following you, believe more in you. People will respect you more, and obviously this will strike a good balance between business needs and your team needs, and it is bound to bring success to your business. I'd also like to look at the education system. Our education system in South Africa, I believe it is not tailored, for the era of self-driving cars, for cloud technology, for your on-demand economy. So we need key stakeholders to play their part. The government has to make sure the government has to make sure that our curriculum matches that of the world and the business needs of this country. I believe this is one of the main reasons we have graduates sitting at home. Why? Because people have qualifications, but these qualifications are not speaking to what business needs. So there's a gap there where the government and institutions of learning have to address that. We have to maybe phase out programs that are no longer relevant, that are not speaking to the jobs of the future. Secondly, in terms of education, I believe everyone, especially the youth, has to take initiative and learn. There are different platforms providing different skills, including coding for free. So as an individual, we spend a lot of time on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, and others. We can just take 1 hour a day and try to upskill. Look at what is it that you want to do and what are the trends in that field. We have to take initiative and learn as the youth. We cannot always point at the government, wait for grants and things like that. The third point that I'd like to make, also based on education, is that business has to make sure that every stakeholder knows about its needs. If we don't know that the aviation industry will need pilot drivers or drone pilots, then there's a problem, because we don't know that they are going to need this. Someone will study for something that's not related to what business needs. So I think it would be key if all the government, the individuals, and business collaborate. Then we can easily realize our 4IR goals. I would also like to talk about, looking at other people or other institutions, organizations for inspiration to survive the era of robotics and artificial intelligence. One organization or company that I'd like to look at is Time Bank, a new bank that does not have branches, for banking services. This is a game changer in the banking services, in the banking industry. I think we can learn a lot if we look at their business model and how they are doing things. I think it's just the beginning. We'll see a lot of these sort of models mushrooming in the near future. We can also look at a country such as Rwanda. They are always on the news for innovation, for technology, for leadership. We can learn a lot as South Africans and the rest of African countries. We can learn a lot from such a country in terms of how they are innovative, how they are always leading in technology. I will also make reference to Dr. Esther Mahlangu, who used her art to travel the world. She painted the first African art car, which was the BMW 525i, and she also designed the BMW 7 Series interior. What I like most about Umama Esther Mahlangu is that she proved that you do not have to be a 4IR expert, or a digital expert, a software developer to contribute to the ecosystem. She demonstrated that we should use our own natural talents, in the best possible way to reach the global stage. And in closing, this applies to all artists. We need their art. People in the social sciences, we need their skills. I believe there is a place for everyone in the 4IR ecosystem. And it's just a matter of finding out what or where is your place in the ecosystem. And yeah, I think we can open it up for discussions, questions, and answers.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mokwena. The talk was very insightful, especially when you talk about upskilling our jobs. We have a question from Facebook from Mr. Whitson. He would like to know, how can multidisciplinary education create specialists efficiently? Can you please answer?
Okay. Well, it depends on obviously what you want to focus on. For example, I am a software developer, but I'm currently pursuing a business degree. At the end of the day, business, my software career is at the end of the day to try to bring business. So by so saying is that I can be able to have conversations that are business related because of the multidisciplinary skills that I have. I do not only sit with technical people and discuss technical issues. So I believe that in order to create specialists, say you have a group of people who are performing a medical diagnosis. If you have a lot of people with different disciplines, they can be able to sort out problems easy because they have a range of skills. They are not only looking from one point of view. And by so saying is that you can solve problems easier and thrive as a specialist in your respective field.
Okay, thank you so much. We have another question. We would like to know, how can health professionals, example nurses, utilize 4IR in helping to fight COVID-19?
Okay. There are different ways that health professionals can utilize 4IR in helping to fight COVID-19. For example, I've mentioned about the 3D technology that was used to create ventilators that are used in fighting COVID-19. There are apps that are being introduced, to help people at home to test themselves, if they have the symptoms of this COVID-19, Professionals can also engage. I think we can create platforms whereby we don't need people to physically go to the hospitals, to get attention, but rather platforms whereby nurses can engage with patients, maybe through calls like this, and then they use Internet of Things gadgets to take their temperature and heartbeat rate, things like that. So there's a lot that health industry can gain from this fourth industrial revolution. And of course, I do go deeper on it again on my book about how different technologies such as artificial intelligence are changing the industry in terms of health.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much. And when it comes to education, can you please tell us what will the fourth industrial revolution bring to the education, to education in general?
Okay. As mentioned on my presentation, I believe our current education system, it needs to be looked at very carefully and to be adjusted, because I don't think it's designed for the era of developing self-driving cars. We are trying obviously to develop. We are doing our best, but I believe there's more that we can do. That's one aspect. The other one, I believe that now a lot of schools, especially the private schools, are going online. They are offering online lessons where kids just log in from home and they get instructions from their educators. So there's that also, and there's a portion of augmented reality or virtual reality, where you can just have your virtual reality specs and be at a certain area where you can learn about procedures and methods to do certain tasks. And I believe that is how it will change the education space.
All right. Mr. Sekwena, I would like to know what could hold back 4IR in South Africa?
Okay, there are a lot of things. One, I believe it's access, digital access. A lot of people do not have internet access. And this is mainly because of infrastructure. People in rural areas are struggling with internet. The second point would be our data prices. A lot of people are complaining about the cost of data in South Africa. That's also a problem. Another one, I'd say, it's fake news, the spread of fake news. We're sharing a lot of stuff, a lot of fake content on social media, which leads to people being afraid of embracing these technologies. For example, I'll talk about the 5G technology, that is meant to increase the internet speed. A lot of people have been associating it with COVID-19, of which it doesn't make sense to me, and it hasn't been proved scientifically that 5G causes COVID-19. But then people will reject this, the installation of the 5G equipment, because they believe they'll get COVID-19. So I believe spreading fake news somehow affects the adoption of 4IR in our country.
All right. We also have another question from a participant. Would like to know, does the instability of electrical supply, in other words, load shedding, threaten South Africa's 4IR potential?
100%. It does. It does threaten it. For example, I mean, we wouldn't be having this conversation if I had load shedding at my place, for the mere fact that my laptop relies on electricity, my phone, my internet components, So it does threaten it, and it does create a gap whereby people with resources such as generators are able to continue working, while the ones who are suffering are left behind. So the gap continues to widen, and it does create a very big threat when it comes to adopting the 4IR.
Okay. Speaking more about South Africa and our issues, we have a question from Hlabelani. With the 4IR, do you think our rural schools and community are ready to adapt to it, looking at internet infrastructure and knowledge on usage of technological equipment?
Okay, as mentioned earlier, I think obviously now we are not at that stage where everyone can start, using these gadgets, but we need all the stakeholders to play part here. We need the government to start providing infrastructure. Yes. We need our teachers. Most of our teachers, are not really digitally savvy. We need them to also be trained for this. We need to make sure that everyone comes involved. We know what skills are needed for the fourth industrial revolution before we can start and confidently say that we are ready. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in that field.
All right. Thank you so much. In your book, you spoke about robotics and artificial intelligence. Is it possible to dissociate artificial intelligence from 4IR? Are they inseparable?
Well, 4IR is a period that we find ourselves in, and it's powered by technologies, technologies such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, big data, and all the others that I mentioned. So it's more like a subject and a topic that makes this subject possible, if I can describe it that way.
And when it comes to 4IR AI, how can someone without coding skills apply AI in the various in the various fields. For instance, use AI in water supply. It's a question from Tabang.
Okay. Well, for someone who doesn't have coding skills, obviously you will draft your idea. What is it that you want to do? You will talk to a developer, get a developer, and then try to see if they can help build you a system that applies artificial intelligence methods, and once they can do that for you, obviously you just plug and play, you just carry out your solution. They'll obviously give you a user manual on how to use this and how your algorithms will work. So I believe that's one way you can go about it.
All right. And the UJ library is hosting this meeting. Can you please tell us how can libraries implement the idea of artificial intelligence?
Okay, yeah, that's a difficult one. Obviously, we can, in terms of books, we can have an online library storing books, and based on what users read, books that they borrow from the library, you can be able to analyze, using the data that you get and see the trends that, okay, Thapelo prefers reading business books, So that's like using machine learning to learn the trends of your different readers and always recommend to them that, okay, hey, Thapelo, these are a set of books that we think you might be interested in, I think we've seen it with things such as Netflix or Showmax. They recommend based on what you have viewed previously. So I think that's one way we can use artificial intelligence. Obviously, also in social media, we can recommend based on what people like, say, hey, there's a webinar coming that is based on artificial intelligence. It's all about obviously using machine learning and using the data that we receive, it's combining all these technologies that makes them so powerful.
Oh, yes. Thank you. We have another question from Simpue Machia. We'd like to know which is the easiest way to train computer literate and born before homology people, and how can we speed the process of access to teach gadgets, especially in schools?
Okay. What is the easiest way to train computer illiterate and born before homology people? I believe, the basic thing is to start by reading. We don't read. We are not readers, most of us, the ability to just be able to read and write is the basic skill that you need. I believe that through mathematics, you'll be able to solve complex problems and critically think about things, So I believe that would be the way to go on about it. And I'd also advise that there are a lot of tutorials, even on YouTube, on building simple programs. You don't start by building Facebook. You don't start by building Twitter. You start by just writing a simple program that prints out your name. From there you can always go step by step. So I believe there are tutorials. It depends on which field do you want to focus. Is it blockchain? Is it artificial intelligence? Is it IoT? So I'd recommend that we read. We obviously focus on mathematics and we go for tutorials. There are a lot of resources that I can always provide that offer free training in terms of coding. And yeah, the last question was, how can we speed this process of access to tech gadgets, especially in schools? This one, again, it's not entirely up to us as individuals, because other people do not afford, while other schools have the luxury, of giving these to their learners. Others do not, we have to work with governments and together with business to try to make this a reality.
Yes. You told us about YouTubes and how you can learn on using YouTubes step by step, but there's a question from Tidiso. They would like to know which institutions would you recommend that is tailored especially for the 4RR skills and AI and all of that.
Okay. Am I allowed to say the University of Joburg is the first one?
Of course.
Yeah, I think the University of Joburg is doing a wonderful job. Obviously, with the Deputy President of the 4IR Commission, Professor Chilitsi Marwala. I'd also say there are coding skills like incast data. There are a lot of other coding skills just that they're running out of my that I can always like look and recommend to other people.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. We do not have any other questions from our participants. Thank you for the insight that you shared with us regarding the book. It is truly a wonderful book. I've had the chance to go through it. I would recommend all of you, all of our participants also, exactly, the 4RR. It is currently free to read for a trial of 30 days. Thank you so much, Mr. Sekwena, for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for the invite and thanks for all the questions. It was an insightful event.
Okay, let me take this opportunity to thank Elsa for facilitating the discussion this morning. And you did very well. And thank you to Thapelo. You know, you imparted a lot of knowledge to us. It's up to us to rethink and to also teach our kids, you know, yes, that this is the direction that we need, you know, and adapt to it. Thank you very much. And we will make sure as the library we have your book, you know, so I can assure you that the UJ library will have your book. And this is on Facebook, but we'll also put it on YouTube. Thank you very much to everybody who has made time to attend this discussion. We have a lot more discussions coming up. We have another one at 3 p.m. this afternoon. It's called Africa Fest by Jackie Silas. Please join us for that one. We also have another one tomorrow, which talks about human resources in 2020 and beyond. So please check out our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and get updated on what's happening at the UJ Library. Thank you to everybody. Bye.
Yes, just to make a comment to everyone who requires the book, as I see a question, I was saying it's Thapelo Sekwena on all social media platforms. You can reach me there so that we can organize on how you can get the book.
Thank you.
Thank you.